Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. Please subscribe to the channel. Now listen, I don't have any jokes about this video either. And listen, man, Crawford and Canelo, right? This whole idea about these two getting in the ring, it really has fans talking. I've done a couple videos and a few YouTube shorts, and let me tell you something, man. Just like we talk about the Spence fans and the Crawford fans, like the Bloods and the Crips, well, I guess the damn Canelo fans and the Bud fans are like the Latin Kings against the goddamn Crips. Now check this out. It's interesting because there's a lot of comments, but these two kind of got my attention. But there's a lot of them that are pretty similar. Where one individual says, Charlo ruined his reputation in this past weekend's fight. He's a certified coward now. Cowardly lion. I don't agree with that, but an individual responded and he said, hey, coward? Crazy that you would say that. Canelo is just that good and will make Bud look like a kid fighting a grown man. And when he said that, I had to stop for a second and be real, right? Let's take the emotion out of it. Let's take the emotion out of it. Would Canelo Alvarez make Terence Bud Crawford look like a little kid fighting a grown man? Terence Crawford, 135, 140, 147. Done amazing things in his career. Earl Spence said Bud Crawford, too light in the ass. Crawford went up to 147. He fought Earl Spence in undisputed distinction, and he kicked his ass. Lightness had nothing to do with it. Matter of fact, he looked pretty heavy-footed the way he put his foot all up in Earl Spence's ass. So, is it possible that Mr. Light in the ass Terence Crawford could bubble up to 168 and put his foot all up in Canelo's ass? I don't know. Skills pay the bills. But then you've also heard a good big man beats a good small man. We saw that this past weekend. We've seen it on numerous occasions. But there are those instances where the good small man beats the good big man because of the sound skill set. So, that being said, does Charlo have the same skill set of Terence Crawford? That's the question, man. Does Charlo have the same skill set as Terence Crawford? Can Charlo switch? Does Charlo have power in both hands? Is Charlo a slick counterpuncher? Does Charlo fight with his eyes? Is Charlo mean? Does Charlo use the kind of angles like Crawford? Is Charlo going to be on his front foot, or is Charlo going to look to be on the defense and fight on the ropes because he had success fighting off the ropes against Castano, and that's the approach he tried to use against Canelo? Is it that that's the approach that's needed to fight somebody like a pressure fighter like Canelo? Can Terence Crawford do that? I don't know. I have an opinion. I'm trying not to give it to you, but I'll go ahead and give it to you anyway, right? Because we're just having a conversation. I personally think Terence Crawford, I think Crawford, he may be able to do a little more than Jermell Charlo. He may be able to do a little more. Against Canelo, man, I don't know. I want to think because Crawford is so mean and so violent in the ring that if he gets in there with Canelo, he's not going to be okay with just getting hit and running the whole fight. You know, like that's one thing we know for sure. When Crawford fought Mean Machine, he got hit and he wasn't in a hurry to jump back in there. Okay, but he was in a hurry to clear his brain, get his faculties intact, and to get his get back. And we saw that fight was all downhill after that. Mean Machine to me is very similar to Canelo in a lot of ways. But does Canelo hit harder than Mean Machine? If Terence Crawford gets in there and finds himself standing in there too long in the pocket, trying to counter, looking for 6 shots, and Canelo is very deceptive, very deceptive. He changes up his punch selection. He knows just how to throw those shots. That shot he hit Charlo with, he should have never hit him with, where he came over the top, hit him on the top of the forehead. Charlo couldn't defend against that. Canelo throws those kind of punches. Terence Crawford gets in there, like the ass Terence Crawford, with Canelo Alvarez. Do you really agree with this guy who says Canelo will make Bud look like a kid fighting a grown man? I think the fight will be a little different than Canelo fighting Jermell Charlo. I think Terence Crawford, no doubt, try to win that fight. I think he'd have a good chance on representing himself very well. Will he win? I don't know, man. But I think it's an interesting fight. Bud's coming off all the hype off of the Spence win. But that Spence he fought, once he touched him, Spence wasn't trying to hear that. He was still fighting. But he just was getting hurt. Okay, the fight changed big time when Crawford started binging him. That second round, that third round, that was all downhill. Once Spence was getting bing, the fight changed. The same thing happens when Canelo fights people. Once he bings them, the fight changes. Get Crawford and Canelo in there, and somebody get binged. Oh, we're gonna see what happens. I'm gonna tell you this: if you hit hard, you hit hard. You can be a small guy, but if you can knock somebody out, you can knock out a big guy. I'm telling you, man. Growing up, I've seen it. Us being little street kids out there fighting, and I've seen it. I've seen smaller guys knock out big guys, man. It's bare fists, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just telling you, if you just naturally have heavy hands, it don't matter who you hit, you got a good chance. Especially you land that shot right, you knock him out. Now you're talking about Crawford and Canelo. They're not too far apart in weight. But I'll leave that to you guys to answer on what you think as far as if Canelo and Bud Crawford fight, that Canelo would make Terence Crawford look like a child fighting a grown man. Okay? So now the other thing that came up was me. I did a YouTube short where I was saying, Terence Crawford should be careful laughing at Jermell Charlo. We know the two of them go back and forth. I was surprised to see Jermall Charlo take photos with Terence Crawford and Terence Crawford's wife. That just lets you know that there's some respect between these guys. But I was still shocked to see Jermall take a picture with Crawford. But who knows what Roy Jones's kind of wisdom he's imparting to him, and about how to just, learn to forgive and love people. Who knows what the hell he got going on. But anyway, I say that, Terence Crawford should be careful laughing at Jermell Charlo. Canelo is not Mean Machine. And then somebody comes and they're directing this at me. You bugging. Crawford what could do Canelo. You bugging. Crawford would do Canelo. So am I bugging? Crawford would do Canelo? Come on now, man. But these are the fans. And a lot of people feel that Terence Crawford would beat Canelo. I don't know. But I think I tell you what, there's Canelo said Terence Crawford's not in the plans right now at this time. But let me tell y'all something. Terence Crawford may have fallen into a good thing, beating Earl Spence, because Canelo and David Benavidez, that's the fight that we want to see, to really see if Canelo can get pushed, can get tested. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what happens there. So that's That's the fight we want to see as far as Canelo, and if he is going to perform at that high level against somebody, the Mexican monster like David Benavidez. But the fight that we all want to see, that's the most intriguing, exciting, and that's the big money fight, is Canelo and Terence Crawford, because there's so much buzz behind Crawford and so much buzz behind Canelo and so much buzz behind making this fight right now. That's the fight, and I get it. Some people say Canelo may not get credit. I think Canelo will get credit if he fought Crawford and beat him. Crawford's not normal, man. But that is the fight. That's the big fight, the pay-per-view fight. That's the fight that, you know, on a global scale is going to have the world awaiting to see what's going to happen. That's the moment in time fight. Crawford and Canelo. You know, two guys who just can't seem to lose, who don't seem to lose rounds. You know what I mean? And we're going to see if Crawford can step up his game, and if he ends up becoming a volume puncher, or if he sits back looking to be the slick southpaw and to advance and attack when necessary at the right time when opportunity presents itself, or if he's now like, whoa, I got to up my work rate to keep this monster off me. Because you see Canelo goes high guard, and he just starts stepping to you. And he's stepping, man. And if you aren't able to handle that pressure from Canelo, you're going to find yourself on the ropes, and now you're there looking to counter. And I think that's something that with Terence Crawford, it's going to be interesting to see how he handles that. But it's going to be interesting to see how Canelo handles dealing with somebody who has, you know, reach maybe a little bit longer than Jamel Charlo. Because Crawford has long arms. And that man fighting in that southpaw stance too. How does Canelo do against somebody who's quick, who's strong, and fights from a southpaw stance and can knock you out with either hand? What happens when Crawford hits Canelo? Because see, when Crawford hits fighters clean, they react. They go down. Jamel hits fighters clean, he gets their attention. But I think Crawford got a little more pop on his shots. But I understand the weight classes and all that. I get it. I don't need nobody here telling me, oh, well, because you fight at 147. Look, man, I get it. But if you have heavy hands, you have heavy hands. And if you hit somebody, they're gonna feel it, they're gonna react. Simple. I mean, that's not Hood Champion's opinion, that's a damn fact. But that being said, man, the fans are talking, and I think right now what you got, I think the snowball effect in place, and that's that conversation. And the more we talk, the more that snowball grows, and I think it's going to get to a point to where it's going to have something that's in front of us where we're going to have to deal with, and we could see that fight happening. Maybe not next, but I think if Crawford hangs around for a few more fights, I think Crawford and Canelo could be getting it on next year. I think so. I really do. Especially after seeing what happened with Jamel. Crawford can say all he wants. He doesn't want to fight Jamel anymore. Who are you going to fight then? If Canelo don't want to fight you, who are you going to fight? Sebastian Fundora? Get out of here, man. Crawford, quit taking it to the stupid. You better get in there and fight Jamel, fight Tim Tszyu, and look to get Canelo. If not, you're going to have to drop them belts because you got to fight goddamn Boots Ennis. Plus, people keep posting fake stuff out here about Crawford and Spence. And let me tell you something. Take it with a grain of salt. I don't know what's true, what's not. After Tyson Fury and Usyk announced the deal was done, when it looked like Tyson Fury wasn't going to fight him, I'm done. I'll share it with y'all. But my new thing, well, first, you know, it's hold your horses, don't take it to the stupid. Who had the bowl of dumbass for breakfast is the second. And the third thing is take it with a grain of salt. Because that's really what this is all about to me, man. You know, when you hear stuff about fights, take it with a grain of salt. Don't hold your breath. May be true, may not. Because the fact that Fury and Usyk are fighting now, who would have seen that coming? And it's the whole thing with Crawford and Canelo not fighting. Don't be surprised if that fight gets announced that it's in work, especially for next year. If the WBC holds Canelo's feet to the fire to fight David Benavidez. Now, if he beats David Benavidez, or if he loses to Benavidez, then there should be a rematch. But I'm telling you, Crawford may have to hang around for a little bit longer. He may have to take 2-3 fights for Canelo to finally have enough space to try to fit Crawford in, because Canelo and Benavidez, that could be a 2-fight deal, you know. But I don't know, we got to wait and see. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Do you agree? that Canelo will make Bud look like a little kid fighting a grown man? Or for those who think that Crawford would lose, are they bugging? Like this guy here says, is Terence Crawford really that good that he can go up to 168 and tranquilize Canelo? I don't know, we gotta wait and see. That being said, y'all be cool. Eat something nice today. In the breeze.